honesty, because I played American football at uni in Brighton, and you guys were
Pompey.
Pompey, and you was like our because we was a professional level, and you was our closest next professional level. So Portsmouth was always our rival town.
The big Portsmouth Brighton rivalry.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's one of those rivalries you create that you truly didn't give a shit about.
No, nobody cares. I don't think anyone in Portsmouth has any issue with Brighton and vice versa.
Yeah.
Now, if it was Southampton, then that's a whole different kettle of fish.
I feel like that in general and everything. Like I'm an Arsenal fan, and
Mm.
obviously, like Spurs, but truly, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, yeah. When it really comes to it,
Yeah,
I think people should have more going on in their life and should not let how well 11 millionaires play football dictate their mood for the forthcoming week.
exactly. Yeah. Hey, look, if Arsenal lost, I'll be like, oh, for fuck's sake, I'll be over it in half hour. Not even half hour. I'll be like, oh, but that's annoying. But then
Yeah.
then you continue with your day, and you said like, and your shitty life and your own shitty struggles, and I just
Yeah,
crack on from there. To be honest, but yeah, I'll do my sexy introduction bit. Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Sit Down for Stand Up. I have with me Michael, a brilliant comedian from Portsmouth. You did your sentence though in London, so you've done that as well.
yes, I did.
How's it going, man? You good?
Yeah, man, all good. How are you? How are you on this Sunday?
Very well, thank you. About four coffees in, and I've been liaising with some American comedians. So, 4 o'clock wakes, and
Oh God,
yeah,
yeah, because the time difference.
it is. And I've been trying to do some Australia as well, trying to like juggle the whole skate. Anyways, I'm boring, so no one gives a shit about me. It's all about you, Michael. So, yeah, cheers for coming on. Reason for
That's
the
all right.
podcast, which everyone should know by now. If not, I'll give you a slap. Um, talking to upcoming comedians who are smashing it. Now, a bit more of a treat on this one. Michael is a lot more, experienced than our usual guy. So it's gonna be a bit of a treat this one, and sort of learn about why he got into comedy, pros and cons. But the one we love the most, when he bombed the hardest and the times he sucked. That's what we love. So,
That's it.
Mike,
They make the most interesting stories.
they do, to be honest, because I always, when I speak to some people and they're like, oh, worried about doing comedy and I'm worried about, being booed off or no one laughing. It's like, that happens to me at least twice a week still. Like, you're going to bomb. You're going to suck until you don't. Like,
That's it.
it's just life. So, Michael, I'll do one of the one I always start with. How and why did we get into comedy?
So I actually discovered stand-up comedy super late in life. Stand-up comedy never appealed to me in the past. I didn't think one person could be that funny on their own. I used to think comedy had to come from like a cast, and there had to be characters, and a situation had to happen, and the environment, and like I didn't think one person on their own could captivate me for an hour or half an hour or whatever. And then one Christmas, I think I must have been like 22, 23. Never watched stand up until that age. Someone got me a Lee Evans DVD for like Secret Santa or something
Brilliant.
silly. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. Someone's going through the effort to get this for me. I don't know why, but I popped it on, and I've never laughed harder at anything in my life at that point. I couldn't believe how funny he was. I couldn't believe just how relatable I found it. And that Christmas, I got like a bunch of HMV vouchers.
Brilliant.
For, so I went to HMV and I bought his box set, five stand-up specials in a box set. Took it home, and I spent that day watching them back to back to back to back to back. And I'd never laughed so much in my life. And then I thought, okay, well, I've run out of his stuff to watch. So back to HMV,
Yeah.
and I was just looking for names I recognized. And I was like,
Perfect.
oh, Chris Rock. I've heard that name. I've
I mean,
seen
you're
him in
naming some
movies.
great people here.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
top
yeah.
top tier.
That's it. I was like, oh, Chris Rock, fantastic. Oh, Jimmy Carr. He hosts. that show. That's kind of funny. I'll buy his DVD." And then I was like, "What? Eddie Murphy did stand up?
Oh,
Yes,
one of the greats.
please."
Yeah.
And I bought both of his stand-ups because obviously I knew him from Nutty Professor,
Yeah.
Doctor Dolittle, all that sort of stuff. And Robin Williams was the other one I bought. Um, and I took them home, and then I spent again a good three-quarters of the day just watching them and laughing. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna like get some. Yeah, but so every opportunity I had, I got more DVDs, and I sought out things like Live at the Apollo. I sought out things like Mock the Week, 8 out of 10 Cats, anything comedy related, and I became such a nerd about it. It was the only thing I'd watch. I wouldn't watch films. I wouldn't watch TV like dramas or documentaries or anything. It was just comedy. If it's not funny, I'm not interested.
Mm. Okay.
And that went
So
on for years,
when so going from that, when did you sort of decide, you know what, I can do this?
completely by accident. So I looked up, um, I sort of Googled where is comedy sort of near here because I was actually looking for like touring comedians. It, I had no concept of what an open mic is.
Mm.
I don't know how I thought comedians became comedians, but it never occurred to me that people have to go somewhere, practice, become good at it, and then they get to do the tours. I don't know how I thought it happened. And I found there was one in Portsmouth, and it was at the Fat Fox.
Okay.
And I went there, and it was like £3 for a ticket, happily paid my £3. And I watched it, and I wasn't expecting much because I knew they weren't professionals.
Yeah.
And I was blown away again by the quality of it. I was like,
Good.
oh wow, wow, these guys are like, okay, they're not Chris Rock,
Mm.
but they're making me laugh.
It's
So
ridiculous how good the open mic circuit actually is.
it is. And so what happened is I spoke to the host afterwards, and I sort of became this. For the first 4 or 5 months, just this guy that came every month, and I sort of became friends with the comedians. The host added me on Facebook. And then the day before, whenever the next show was going to be, he sent me a message. He went, "You're right, mate. One of the acts that's due on tomorrow has cancelled. I don't suppose you've ever like thought of doing this."
That's good of him.
And I cannot stress to you how much it had never occurred to me to get on stage before that message. I'd never been in the school play. I'd never been on stage and performed in any capacity or in front of a crowd in any capacity. And I said, I typed yes, I think before my brain could even comprehend what I'd been asked to do. Right? It was a 5 minute spot, sandwiched in between the two more experienced middle acts.
Oh, well, that shows he's a good promoter already.
Yes, so there was an open, so it went opener break,
Yeah.
three in the middle. The other two did tens, I did
Yeah.
five, and then like a 20-minute headliner.
So he basically you put basically like the shit. It's like the shit sandwich.
Yes,
No
exactly.
disrespect, but
I was the
like
shit. Oh no,
yeah.
absolutely. Because I'm absolutely a curveball. I could derail the whole evening.
Yeah. Your
But
far right Nazi routine.
yeah, he didn't know.
Yeah.
But we'd hung out after the show and like we'd have a couple of pints together and just talked comedy because he was just as much of a nerd about it as I was. And we just talk about our favorite, comedy specials and yeah, all that sort of stuff. And this is how nervous I was. I called in sick to work the next day because it was a weekday, and I spent the whole day practicing my 5 minutes in front of a mirror with like a can of deodorant as the microphone.
Brilliant.
And I was like, okay, like, I hope this is funny. And I went and then I went and did the show. And for the first 4 minutes, nobody laughed. And I mean like embarrassingly nobody. And I felt because I'd been asked, like someone trusted me to sort of bring me into this world, and I'm like letting them down. I've never been more embarrassed in my life. And I was like, okay, the least, and I wanted to leave after 4 minutes,
Yeah.
right? Because I timed it. I had five jokes, each a minute long. So it was easy to time.
Mhm.
So after the fourth joke, no one's laughing. And I was like, okay, at the very least, be a man of your word and do the time you said you were going to do.
Okay, commendable.
So I went into the last joke and fully expecting this to be the same as the last four, and for me to never do it again. And I did this last joke, which was a completely different type of joke than the previous four. And I didn't have the depth of material to pivot. If a certain thing, I only had five jokes, and if you didn't like them, that's all I've got. And the first four were all incredibly similar in terms of theme and in terms of like where the punchline comes, and that the audience didn't go for that. So my fifth joke was something completely different, and I did the big punchline at the end, expecting nothing, and it tore the roof off.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
it was in that, and I wish I wish somebody filmed it or took a picture or
Mm.
something because I was visibly so surprised. Like it almost made me jump. That's how much I was not expecting a roar because it was a big crowd, like yeah, 80 people.
Oh, fuck. Your first gig, that's,
Yeah, because
yeah.
again, it's the only gig in town, so
Mm.
everyone who's interested comes each month. And I did it. It tore the roof off, and it was in that second I was like, I get it now. I get why people do this.
Got the
This is
bus.
amazing. Yeah, this is like what a rush. This is like one of the best feelings and I left that stage so confident, way more confident than I'd been 90 seconds earlier. And I remember sitting down. I watched the rest of the show. I was sitting down and I was like my hands were shaking. I was like, oh my God, like this is it really was something else. But I think if that joke hadn't gone the way it did,
Mm.
I would have cut it there and then.
Totally.
I would have had no encouragement to carry on.
Okay. When on your first set, on your first bit, what sort of 'cause obviously you'd watched all the comedians, like all the professionals, you'd be going to this one for 4 or 5 months. What sort of type of comedy did you want to do? And has that sort of molded into something else over the years?
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, because I never planned on becoming a comedian or doing comedy, I'd never thought about what kind of jokes I would do. I was very happy being a spectator, very happy being an audience member, just enjoying the show. So I had a day to find my voice for the first time. And basically, what it was, the first four jokes were, in hindsight, incredibly like smutty.
Can I hear one?
Yeah, I don't know if I remember them, but one
Just
punchline
what
was
the narrative was.
it was I did one. It was about how giraffes have long tongues,
Brilliant.
and like a fun fact, a giraffe has like a 22-inch tongue, which is great news for Mrs. Giraffe. And then I
Nah.
got the mic stand and
Okay.
pretended that was like the giraffe neck, and
Okay.
I
You lose me on this bit a bit.
Yeah, and I acted out a giraffe giving another giraffe oral
The
sex.
silence.
Yeah, to silence, right? And and then like the big punchline, or at least where I thought the big punchline was going to come from, was Mrs. Giraffe saying like a bit to the left, and then Mr. Giraffe sort of being like, "What?" Because her mouth is so far away from his ears. Like it was nonsense, absolutely stupidity. And rightfully so, people didn't laugh. I don't blame them at all.
What was the joke that that slapped?
It was about the dubbing system in kung fu films, like the
Okay,
Bruce
cool.
Lee and Jackie Chan one.
Yeah.
Basically, I found out I could move my lips and talk independently, like talk from the back of my throat, and it looks like how the badly dubbed kung fu films looked. And it just sort of, but so I've only ever seen that in kung fu films.
Hmm.
Like, what would it look like in other genres of film?
Okay,
And
that's
and then
interesting. Actually, you've created a whole. I love comedians who can pick. I mean, I love comedians where I go away learning something about them. I love that, but I love topics that aren't your normal topics.
thank you. Yeah, same as I say, and yeah, and obviously I ended up on porn because
It's all roads lead to porn.
yeah,
It's like doing an all accents lead to being Indian.
yeah, exactly. And like so, and I said, it's not just the dubbing system; it's the sound effects from the punches and the kicks. Like someone will throw a punch, and the sound effect will either be too late, throw a punch, and I go, I say, or it'll come in too soon, like this, like, and that. And I incorporated all that into like a porn scene. And it and the final bit of it is the guy gives a dick slap. And then I hold the microphone to my penis in this joke, and I sort of slap it into my hand, and I wait, and I go, and like
Yeah,
that's the bit that
through the
blew the
roof
roof
off.
off. And
Okay, I
and
love that.
thank you, yeah. I just say I would say for the first like 20 gigs, that was my closer because that's all I had. That I could like be like, okay, but at least that works sometimes.
Hmm. Okay, and how sort of has your comedy evolved since then?
I've not everything sex related. I've learned that the hard way. Not everyone just wants to hear smut all the time and like super graphic stories about well what you got up to behind closed doors. Like people don't want to hear that in general.
Gives
Um,
you a 1 minute per joke theory, or have you sort of evolved from
no,
that?
so no, I've got stories that take 5 minutes to tell. It's a
Oh,
huge risk if you would like to tell a story and you just. I hope everyone laughs at the end of this. And obviously, I put little like
nuggets.
punchlines throughout so you don't get too bored. But like the big finish is the big finish. And
Okay,
I think
how do you find doing story like observational comedy? I'm a storyteller as well. It's so hard to create reels for social media.
yes. So one thing I've had to do is to deliberately create shorter stories, um, which obviously has pros and cons. Obviously, you get to the punchline quicker, but sometimes you miss out. You have to sort of miss out information which would help you, which would just add to the funniness of the punchline. Um, but yeah, on social media, as I say, people they're not going to sit down and watch you for 90 seconds if there's one big laugh at the end. Like they're too busy just nope, nope. That's how long you
100%.
that's how long you've got. You've got about 3 seconds to get them. And if you haven't, they've already moved past you. Which is why I know you're meant to do social media. I know you're meant to as a
Level of the industry.
yeah. It's how people get spotted. It's how the amount of times I've been asked how many followers do I have
Mm.
based on whether or not I'm going to get a gig. And it's just okay, but like, what if I just sent you a clip or I sent you a video and base it off that rather than because it's all well and good. Okay, if I've got 1 million followers, but what if none of them live where the show is? Then it makes no difference, does it?
1,000,000%. I was like, I've got the Nuva Pal, mate of mine. He's an Indian comedian. He's probably got what, about 200, 300,000 followers. If he gigged in India, I can't remember where from. He'll slap me for that. He could fill out. He could fill out a theatre by himself. But if he gigged in, say, in London, where he hasn't got the following, he couldn't fill up an open mic room.
Yeah, no,
So
I know people like that who there's a comedian called Tenjiwe.
mm,
She has 1.1 million followers.
yeah,
But she's from South Africa, which is where she built up her following.
yeah.
And she's got like Netflix specials over there and like sitcoms and stuff.
Mm.
And then she came over to London and no one knew who she was.
It was like
And
start from scratch again.
oh, pretty much, yeah. Don't get me wrong, she quickly got back to where she should be. But, that followers don't, they shouldn't mean as much as they do in the industry, I
Completely agree.
feel.
Completely agree. I think unless you're selling out theatres, then you need
Mm,
to have the name behind yourself. But for on the comedy circuit, do you know what I mean? Either the club should have the reputation that they bring on good sets, good people,
yeah.
and that should be merit enough to fill out the room. I mean, but if we go to like lower class like places, yeah, it's the promoter's job, and that's why I do mention them quite frequently, and I will mention them right now because you have
Yeah,
gigged in London. I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
you're above the level now. What's your opinion on bringer spots?
So when I first moved to London, I was so venomously against it. Um, because I was like, it goes against comedy. And because I just moved there, I didn't know anyone. I didn't have anyone
Yeah,
who I could even bring. And as I say, I do feel from what I'm seeing, obviously I'm not in the London scene at the moment, but from what I'm seeing online, it's most things are bringers now. And that was not the case pre-COVID when I moved up there. There was obviously loads of bringers still, but there's also a healthy amount of non-bringers. And from what I'm seeing online, it seems to have swung the other way. Like you're almost lucky to get a non-bringer spot.
mm. Well, I am a service against them. I've never done a bringer spot. I never will do a bringer spot. I know places. I'll mention one in the Hamlet in Stratham. It's called Low Stakes Comedy. Valerio started it in June, and he fills the room out now. About 30 people every single Wednesday. He does it, and it's never been a bringer. So it shows it can be done if you put the effort in. And
It
I'm against them
it
so much.
it can be done. Now, with that being said, I'm going to sound massively hypocritical because I did run a bringer night for a while. So basically it was in a pub called Victoria in Zone 2,
Okay.
but it was a good 35-minute walk from the nearest tube
Station.
station. So there was not much foot traffic. And the way that the venue said, like if we don't have immediate success, we're scrapping it. Because we could just put a guy with a guitar in the corner of the room and people will come.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So I thought, okay, I need numbers. So I ran what I call a loose bringer, where if you didn't have a bringer, don't worry about it.
Okay, yeah, that's cute. Yeah.
But for all intents and purposes, I need to advertise it as a bringer. And but if I never turned anyone away
Mm.
if they didn't have a bringer, I'd always encourage people to contact me. Like if you don't have a bringer, just send me a message. Um, but there was pressure from the venue to you need to have a minimum of X amount of people. So I get why bringers exist because London has this sort of pressure from the venues that they need to make money. 'Cause I dread to think what the rent is like on a bar or a pub
Like social. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
So I get it. I do get both sides, but I think there has to be a balance and there has to be wiggle room from the promoters because not everyone knows 10 or 12 people who are constantly free and never get tired of watching you do the same 5 minutes in various different pubs around London. As I say, most people, I find a lot of the comedians I met in London had moved from somewhere else
Mm.
to London. So they don't have that infrastructure of childhood friends, college friends, university friends, school friends. It's the people they've met as adults in the workplace.
Yeah. I applied once for a 3 minute bringer spot when I just started out. And
Oh,
I
no,
and I
no.
said to her, like, look, I've got no friend. No, like when I go drinking with my mates, they want to talk to me, so they're not going to sit here and listen to nine other people they don't give a shit about. They're not into comedy. But I
Yeah.
said, like, look, I'm a big lad. I can cane the pints. I will promise you now, I will drink 10 pints that night. They're like, oh no, you still need to bring someone. So I was like, okay, well, I don't understand what we're getting now out of this relationship. Like,
No.
if it's all about the bar tab, so do not worry. Like, I'll drink what three people will drink. But it
Yeah.
was still like they wanted the extra bum on a seat. And I even responded, being like, well, I'm a fat bastard. I'll even take up 2 seats if you want. And they didn't respond to me. So like at that moment of enough rejection fueled my hatred. So how do you find the comedy scene in regards to the audience from Portsmouth to London?
It's a completely different crowd. As I say, Portsmouth, most people who come to the comedy shows, they've lived here for generations. So if you're from Portsmouth, there are certain references like low-hanging fruit that will really tear the roof off. Like all you got to do is slag off the nearest city or mention something like some obscure reference to anyone who's not from here.
Okay.
Um, and ever you will be accepted immediately because you are, oh, he's one of us.
Okay.
Um, Whereas in London, you are generally performing to whoever happens to be there. It could be tourists who are in London for the first time. It could be yeah, the other comedians' mates
Mm.
who really couldn't give a shit what you're saying because you're not their mate. Um, and it could. I've showed up and it's been people who didn't even know comedy was happening. We're flash mobbing them with comedy,
Well, they're the
and then
hardest ones to win, aren't they? If you win them over, then you know you're on the right track.
well, that's it. And the thing is, you can't be mad at them for like because they didn't sign up for a comedy night.
Yeah.
They signed up to come for after work drinks, and then you're like, "Hey, what's your name, dickhead?" And they're
Yeah.
like, "What's happening?"
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not allowed to talk. It's
yeah,
just,
yeah. Innit? I know this is your night, like your night out, and you've had your own plans, your own agenda, and your own reason for being here. But I went to Tesco's, and I want to talk about it. Like it's you can't expect someone to just go, "Oh, amateur comedy, how fun!" Like
I
it's not going to
don't even
work.
like normal comedy. So,
Yeah, but
how would you win that crowd over then? Or like in particularly, a heckler. You're on stage, someone shouts out, "You're shit." How would you deal with that?
talk to them. Talk to. And so you could come up with like a bog standard canned response.
Yeah.
Um, but I think people are more brave in the the anonymousness,
Yep.
and it also shows what happens to any other potential hecklers in the lurking in the crowd. I talk to him. All right, mate. Not get enough attention at home, clearly. Right, let's delve into you. And I'll just talk to him and find something to rip the shit, whether it's his clothes,
Yeah.
hairstyle, job, who he's with. I'd find something.
Do you have a system like, right, let me like, it's like almost like Alien versus Predator. Like you've locked onto them, right? Then I'm going to analyze you, right? So I go, okay, hair, beard, shirt, that. So I'm going to target appearance first. Shit, he's a good-looking guy. Fuck. Okay, occupation. What do you do? Shit. Okay, he's got a good job. Shit, relationship. Like, do you have like
Well,
a system in your head?
No, so I think the first thing I'll try and do is find the obvious physical joke.
Yeah.
Like do could I say this guy looks like a Tesco's own brand, insert celebrity here?
Go on, do me then. Do me. And I'm putting you on the spot here. So I'm in the crowd. I go, you're shit.
I think the first thing I bring up is that you're wearing a backwards hat indoors, like like you're trying to single-handedly bring back Limp Bizkit or something like
Even
that.
that's good because I think when it's live and it's completely unscripted, the the bar is a lot lower.
Yeah,
Now, if
absolutely.
you said that as a joke, as a punchline, like what do guys who wear caps look back? Or they think they're bringing back Limp Bizkit,
Yeah,
that'd be like, bro, what the fuck? But to say it live there and then, this is tailored for this
yeah.
brick, it'll work. Like I laughed
No,
at that. But if you did that as a set, I'd be like, what the fuck is this?
yeah, exactly, exactly. I have found I found people heckle less than they used to, as in aggressively heckle.
Yeah.
Like people don't really shout "your shit" anymore.
I had that either, but that's just my go-to. Like,
Yeah, I think, I think this is with the popularity of crowd work material being put online. I
it's the
do
clickbait, isn't
think
it? It's the 15-second clickbait. It's perfect for online.
it is, but I do also think that it's changed what an audience expects to happen at a show. Because if I'm doing a set, I will not talk to the crowd.
Hmm.
I will talk at them.
Okay.
I have stories that I'm going to tell. And if I do talk to the audience, it's in a leading question kind of way, so we
Most
can get
questions,
to
yeah.
the topic I want to talk about. I might go, oh, I went to Austria recently. Has anyone been to Austria? And they'll say yes. So, oh, where did you go? And it's irrelevant
What I say?
where they say, because I'm going to say, oh, well, I went to Vienna. And then I'll move on with the story. But it does sort of bring the audience in a little bit. If I feel like I'm being too distant from them, I have little things like that to bring them in. But ultimately, it I don't want my funniness to be hinged on how interesting that person is.
Okay. No, no, I like that. I mean, like one of my mates, Phil, he is a killer at crowd work. He's done like 19 gong shows. He's got through 17 of them. But
Nice.
he says to me, his written work is awful. Like writing jokes, he's shit at, but he's good at just slagging people off. So
Mm.
he found his sort of his crowd work bit. I mean, close questions are. My favorite one I always do because I've got a gay bit is anyone here gay? And when they say, you go, oh, thanks for coming out. It's so
That's good.
it's
That's
so
really
simple.
good.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
It's cheating, but like, do you have any jokes where you feel like this is this is like a cheat? This is cheating. It's too easy. There's no intelligence behind it.
I have a joke, and I've told it for years, and I've always feared people are gonna guess the punchline before it comes,
Okay,
and it's never happened. And I'm always like, but
let's
to
do it.
me, it's such an obvious punchline.
Okay.
But I'll get to the punchline bit. It's part of a story
Pause
about
and let me
going,
try and guess it. Okay, as
yeah,
a
yeah,
comedian, let me try and guess it.
right. So I'm at the STD clinic, right? And I start off, all right, I'll do the joke,
Please.
right? Because I think within the context, it might make more sense rather than me just right try and guess this punchline without hearing the first minute.
Yeah.
So first of all, I've had a bit of a weird week. The other day, I went to the STD clinic. Give me a cheer if you've been, and
Hey.
usually it's like two or three people who cheer. That gets a laugh straight out the gate, right? And I say, oh, thank you very much. Well done for you for going. So to the rest of the liars in the room,
Brilliant.
now I say the STD clinic's a bit of a weird place. When you get in there, a nurse will invite you into her office and ask a bunch of embarrassing and personal questions. Question one, Mike. when was the last time you had sex? I said, 3 days ago. She said, did that include oral sex? And I went, you're fucking right, it did.
Yeah.
And I can tell she wasn't amused, one, by her stern face, and two, by how long it took her to return my high five. Now, the last thing they ask you in this sort of place, she went, Mike, have you ever had sex with someone from outside of Europe? And I said, yes. She went, okay, what country were they from? What's the punchline?
The only thing I can possibly think of is Bangkok, but I know it's not a country. This is- No, no, haven't got it.
Britain.
Okay.
Have you ever had sex with someone from outside of Europe? I say yes. They say, what country are you from? And I say, Britain.
Oh, brilliant. Yep. Also amazing. Yep. Cool. Because we're
And
third
then,
world country. Because it's absolutely appalling. Brilliant. I thought you said Retton. I was like, where the fuck's Retton?
no, Britain. And then
Yeah,
that,
I can see that. Bring the house down.
yeah. And I always worry when I get to that bit,
Yeah.
someone's going to heckle Britain or
Okay.
UK or England, something like this. It's never happened, but I feel I can see that. I think because I wrote it, I feel like I know it's coming. Maybe it's me being paranoid, but if that joke gets a round of applause, which it sometimes does,
Mm.
the cheating part, thank you very much for giving the STD joke the clap.
Yeah, it's a nice little ending tag, to be honest.
It is,
I like
but
that.
but yeah, I've always been paranoid that someone's going to figure out that punchline before I get there.
Is that how like a magician must think? Oh, they'll know how I've done the joke, how I've done the magic, where you never do.
Yeah, they must do, especially because I imagine with a magic trick, you would have to do it. There's no wiggle room. If you do anything even ever so slightly wrong, it could give away everything.
And also with that, with the joke you just did, um, was like the science behind it, saying Britain is how we're no longer a European country, all that. We won't go delve heavily into the analytics, but
No,
you've stayed away from that topic until the punchline.
yes. So,
So it isn't out of nowhere. One, I don't think people would guess that.
well, as I say, it was just maybe it's just my thinking, but I've always worried that that's been to me an obvious punchline.
No,
Um,
I don't think it is, honestly. Like, and that's what one makes it great, and two, it's probably where, as you said, it's so much that yeah, it sort of becomes like, oh, well, I know what's coming, so everyone else must know what's coming.
yeah, yeah.
So
Um,
yeah. So would you say, okay, I asked this, what is your favorite joke, and is it always part of your set? No matter if you're doing fives, tens, 20s, it's always part of your set, no matter what.
so, you're asking two different questions there. Right. My favorite joke is usually my most recently written joke that is doing well. Okay, because but the joke I do all the time was actually a joke I've written years ago. I would love to come up with something better than it, but I haven't. And it's always been the joke that got the biggest laugh, the biggest reaction, so I have to keep it in.
Right.
But I am striving to be funnier than I was during lockdown in 2020, apparently, when I wrote the joke. I peaked then and no one was there to see it.
I mean, it is hard as well because I was like, I applaud people who can write every day. I haven't written a new joke in about 3 weeks.
No, that's
I just
fair.
haven't got the muse yet, and I feel like it's got to be inspirational. You wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, when all the doors in your brain are opened, and
Absolutely.
you just think of something there and then.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't. Some comedians they do write that way. They'll set time aside to specifically sit down and write on a piece of paper or on their phone. whatever works for them. But I'm the same. I will just sometimes it's almost like my brain tells me a joke.
Yeah, completely. You're not even thinking about it, and then all of a sudden, yeah, it goes. And then I think the
Yeah,
trick is, and I would say this to all new comedians, if you think of a joke, write it down there and then, because you will
yeah,
forget it 5 minutes later, and you'll be so annoyed at yourself.
yeah. I once had a dream, and I told a joke in the dream that was so funny I laughed myself awake,
Brilliant.
and I couldn't remember the joke.
Oh, that's infuriating.
But I woke up laughing out loud, and that's what woke me up, the noise from my own laughter. And I can't, for the life of me, remember anything to do with the joke at all. I don't remember what it was about. I don't remember what the punchline was. I don't remember the context of which the joke was being told. I just laughed myself awake. I was like, "That's hilarious," and then gone, absolutely gone.
With sort of new jokes and stuff, how many times would you try them on stage before you're like, yeah, this needs tweaking, or no, I'm just going to bin this altogether?
It depends how much I believe in it. Um, Sometimes I'm very stubborn. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, this is funny. You're all wrong, and or not or maybe I've just not found the funniest way of presenting this idea, but the idea is funny.
Uh,
Um, so I think editing is just as important as writing new stuff. Editing what you've already got. Can you make it?
completely agree.
Because sometimes you come up with a great idea, but you become more experienced as a writer as you progress. And sometimes you came up with a really funny premise, but you weren't skilled enough to find the funniest version of it. Like
How do
for
you write? Do you write it all like word for word, or do you just write, okay, premise, a bit of meat, punchline?
I honestly, I don't write anything down.
Okay,
It
interesting.
stays in here. Um,
Okay.
it I I don't know how I'm able to do this, but I am. All I need to do is if I'm doing like 20 minutes, I don't write on my hands, I don't write on paper. I just it just stays. Basically, I take a massive gamble. I'm either going to remember it or I'm not. And I do feel like that pressure forces you to access the same part of your brain that allows you to memorize song lyrics.
Yeah.
Because you don't think about it as you're singing. You just if you know a
I'm trying to
song,
like do this in my head now, like thinking of a song. Then, yeah, yeah, I'm with you on that.
yeah. So that's the part of the brain that I'm trying to put the jokes in, so that when I'm on stage, I just need to remember the first tiny bit of the next joke to move me along, and
All
then I've
flows
got the
on.
rest of it memorized.
That's. I mean, I don't think I've got the courage to do that yet. So what I do is I write it all out word for word as a script, and
Hmm.
then I'll turn the page off, and then I'll put like the dictator phone on Word,
Yeah.
and then I'll repeat it and see how closely matched I was.
Okay.
And
That's fair
that's
enough.
yeah, that's my comfort zone.
Yeah, I say there is no right or wrong way of doing this.
Of course, it's not. Yeah,
As
you imagine saying to like a rapper or a singer, "Oh no, you're writing it wrong." Like, no,
yeah.
the crowd, the crowd will be the biggest judge and sort of respondent to it.
Yeah,
So,
and I think also you're the only one who knows how the joke is meant to go. The crowd don't. So even if you fluff it up to you, as long as it's not overly obvious, you've completely, moved away from whatever you had scripted, no one's going to know.
completely agree. What I've got actually quite a lot to ask because with your material, what say if you was watching somebody and they obviously had stolen a joke,
Mm.
should they be called out?
As in, like, word for word.
Because I
Uh,
saw someone about 3 4 weeks ago on a Gong show. I went there to watch, and he completely copped out a 5 minute set from Ryan Long, from one of Ryan Long's specials. Now, Ryan Long's one of my favorite comedians.
Mm.
And I was like, I know this. I know exactly where it's going. Word for word, copied it.
Then I'd call it, yeah, call him out. I wouldn't heckle
Yeah. You
calling him
pull him
out,
aside.
absolutely, and just say, look, because chances are, if it's a whole 5 minute set, it's not accidental.
Agree.
But sometimes people can come up with similar premises
Well, of course,
and
how many
stuff like
dating
that.
jokes are there? How many ex-girlfriend jokes are there? How many, like in women's comedy, men are bastards? Like, yeah, there's
That's
so many
it.
different, but so many different ways to come at a subject.
Yeah, and how many times, how many variations have you seen? I'm on all the dating apps. They'll list the dating apps, and the punchline is Deliveroo
Yeah.
or Uber Eats or Ladbrokes. Yeah. The punchline being one of these is not a dating app.
Yeah. I'll tell you, one of them infuriates me though, and I know I shouldn't get as angry as this as I do, but every time I listen to or on when I was on the open mic set, every single sort of Indian comedian would go, "No, I'm not your Deliveroo driver," or "No, I'm not your Uber driver," and I've heard that joke so many times now that yeah, I think like it likes the creativity side to it. So okay, I love asking this question then, and no, Joe, no, scrap that. I'm gonna save that one to the end.
Okay.
Competitions. How have we done in competitions?
Yeah, so I've in uh, in London, there's so many competitions. Outside of London, there's not that many that were accessible to me at the time. We had the South Coast Comedian of the Year, which I was a finalist in. And then I was too scared to enter it again because I thought, what if I don't get to the final? Like, I would feel like I've gotten worse.
Mm.
So I felt like, all right, just take your finalist the spot and then just hold on to that for a little bit. Um,
Personally, I think competitions are box ticking.
they are,
I'm
but
gonna
they
be
do,
honest with that. I think they're box ticking, and I think it's a good way for the industry to find alternative acts.
yeah, and they do serve a purpose in in that somebody is going to get a sort of credit that they can then use to hopefully get other promoters to book them. Now, how much credence is given to that credit is completely down to the promoter in question. But
Completely agree because everyone's like, "I finalist this, semi-finalist this," and it's just like I don't know. I think they've been watered down almost when there's more of them.
I wouldn't mention it unless you've won,
Okay, cool.
personally. Because, okay, if I say, oh, I was a semi-finalist in this, okay, well, that means there were at least 12 funnier people than you
How
who
many is
got
the
to,
bracket down? Yeah.
yeah, like, don't get me wrong, if it's like Britain's Got Talent or something, then yeah, by all means bring it up. But if it's like Southend Comedian of the Year or something like that, it's it's probably not worth bringing up. But I suppose if that's what you've got, I don't blame people for mentioning it, but it's not something I would
100% not.
personally
100% agree.
bring
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, mate.
I,
Yeah. I mean, I've used nepotism at its finest form using this podcast, like booking spots. I've said, I've worked with Ali Woods, Alistair Barry, Ed Rumson. I've spoken to them on a podcast. Still worked with them.
absolutely,
You use the card
absolutely.
you're given. You fake it till you make it. And then, yeah.
You you do, as I say, and you sometimes you'd be surprised where you end up because of it. You,
100%. Like, without like fluffing, like, I spoke to Adam Bloom 2 days ago. That guy's fucking ridiculous.
yeah, yeah.
He's amazing. And
He's a huge name, and hey, you never know that friendship or that I assume it went well.
oh, 100%, 100. None of them. Do you know what I'll say? I've never not posted one of these, and I've never not edited one of these.
Okay.
Because I think in comedy, if you say something, you got to stand by it.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
And you know what I mean? And that's one thing I don't like about people doing just like 5 sec, 10-second reels of a comedy set and they post that bit because they could have bombed for 4 minutes, 40 seconds. And then they could have 20-second funny and then they look fantastic. I think you've got to
Yeah.
have it all in all its mighty. And yeah, some people won't laugh at it, some people will laugh at it. But that is the true vision of yourself.
It is, but that's also social media.
Go on then.
We've all put up, we all only put up the pictures that we're happy with. Yeah. So, as I say,
Yeah.
this is the
You're gonna do a
common.
tagged photo like that,
Yeah,
like
exactly. Um, and this is the comedy version of that. You're putting up what you believe is your best sort of content to present to the world in terms of look how funny I am, and you hope that that brings stuff back. I tried TikTok again when everyone first sort of started getting into it, and I put up this professionally filmed, subtitled one of what I thought is my strongest jokes, and it got like 4 views. I was like, oh man, okay.
I gave up using TikTok. I only use Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, as I say, I use Instagram and it's linked to my Facebook,
Yeah.
and that's it. As I say, I've got a TikTok account,
Mm.
and as I say, every now and then I keep kidding myself, like, oh, I'll just put something up there, and then no, no, it's still not funny to the Gen Zs. That's fine.
I agree with that. So, what's one joke? Oh, I love this question actually. One joke, because you've been doing it for some time now, that at the moment you thought was brilliant. And you look back now and you think, why the fuck did I think that was funny? You can't mention the giraffe.
So like, so I went for a stage where I thought I need to do something more than just be a guy telling jokes.
Okay.
I need a niche. I need something else. And I somehow convinced myself I could do impressions.
Love it.
And I really lent into it. The first time I was going to do these impressions, I had like the person's face on a stick, and I'd hold the stick, and I'd have the microphone behind them. Like this is how, like, imagine having this level of confidence in a bit you haven't done. And I got up there, and
What accent? I want to hit what one?
I had like 10 characters. I had Kermit the Frog, I had Arnold Schwarzenegger, I had probably like a beginner's pack
Okay,
of,
I want. Oh, okay, Kermit the Frog doing the Terminator right now.
well, no, I couldn't do them. That was the problem. That was
Okay.
the problem. I deluded myself because I'd only heard with my own ears me do the impression.
I'm trying to think of how Kermit the Frog talks now.
He's like, Peter.
Hello there, I'll be back. No, it all just goes
That
Indian.
that
Every
was
accent I do just
that
goes
was
Indian.
barely Irish. I think. Hello there.
Put a morning to you, piggy. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I've never done accents, and from the beginning, I thought I wanted to be an observational storyteller, and I've sort of stuck with that.
Mm.
Like, I would never dare do an accent on stage.
Well,
Like,
this is it, right? So I'm holding this Kermit the Frog mask, right? And you know when you first hear your own voice back on
you
like a
hate yourself.
recording,
Yeah.
right? And you remember you're like, is that what I sound like?
Hmm.
The first time I heard this impression for a speaker system was the first time I heard it for how bad it actually was. And I was like, oh no, I can't do this at all. And I looked at this pile of masks that I had ready to do for the next 10 minutes. I was like, no, abandon ship, abandon ship. This is forget this. just stick to your cock and ball jokes, Mike. You cannot do Christopher Walken working in Primark. What were you thinking?
Brilliant.
Like,
Well, Christopher Walken is in my. I need to confirm this before I even say it out loud. He was Django, wasn't he? He was in Django. He was the dentist in Django, wasn't he? He was.
no.
Is that Christopher Waltz?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let me phrase it. Christopher Waltz, in my opinion, is the greatest actor in the last 30 years.
Oh, Christoph Waltz, absolutely. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Django to Inglorious
Oh,
Bastards,
just
like completely different characters, but equally just amazing. Like he looks like a different person in both of those films. Like
yeah.
completely, like not even the same actor.
Yeah, he was. No, I absolutely love him. Okay, go on. I'll end it with this one, and it's always my favorite question. Don't really care about the first part. It's all about the second bit. What has been your favorite moment on stage, and what time did you bomb the hardest? Your first time.
Okay. So the my favorite moment on stage, I'm gonna have to lead you up to this,
Oh,
okay? And it will make sense when I get there. So there's a massive music festival in Portsmouth called Victorious Festival.
okay.
And they musical guests look, okay, it's next weekend. Kings of Leon, Nelly Furtado,
Standard.
Vampire Weekend, these sort of names.
Them live. Cool, bad.
And my naivety was shown. I DM'd the festival on their official Facebook page
Yeah.
and asked if they had ever considered having comedy. And we arranged a meeting and we went over there, not having running all of like 3 open mic nights. That's what we had under our belt as promoters. And they said, we'll try it. It said, we'll build you a tent and there's no budget. It's going to be a small tent. There's no budget. But you can have like a couple of hours to do comedy in this tent, and you'll all get free tickets to the festival and free beer and yeah, yeah, yeah. And because it's in our hometown, we were like, okay, this is just like a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
So we get there, and 150 person capacity tent sounds like a lot. It's not a big tent at all because the stage takes up half of it. Um, and we only booked the local comedians who would do it for free or for beer. And Prodigy were the headliners that year, so that helped us sell it to them.
Yeah.
Now, luckily for us, it pissed down with rain that
Perfect.
entire weekend, and we were one of the only things that had shelter. So the tent was rammed. Every time the person we had a meeting with dropped by to see how it was going, the tent's rammed. Um, so he's like, "Oh, clearly this is working. Let's bring them back next year." They give us a slightly bigger tent. They give us a little bit of money this time, so we're able to sort of expand bring in the people who are headlining locally, bring them in, and the exact same thing happened. Rained. Everyone came to the tent. They're like, God, this is really popular. And then COVID happened, so the
Oh,
festival didn't happen. And I didn't know if they were going to invite us back. They did. And again, more money, slightly bigger tent. We're up to about 250 capacity at this point.
nice.
Okay. And we're able to get people who are, um, sort of like openers on the big weekend clubs and the big weekend spots and headlining the slightly smaller ones. So the standard's good. And again, it went really well. We didn't have the rain that year, and it still went really well, which we were very chuffed about. Now, obviously, we don't really sort out the festival until about 2 months, 3 months before. They asked us to have a meeting in December. So only
Last year.
two, no, no, no. The year that this happened.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this is
cool.
2021. We had a Zoom meeting. This is only like 2, 3 months after the festival itself has happened. And I thought they're gonna,
Yeah.
yeah, they're just being nice about it. They said, okay, we're going to expand the comedy tent. And I was like, okay, 300 capacity? Is that what you're thinking we move to? And he went, 3,500.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't know if that many people will come and
Mhm.
see me.
Yeah.
As much as I like to back myself,
Yeah.
I think we're really overestimating. And he goes, no, no, no. We're getting professionals and you. So we
Okay.
want you to have the stuff you already book.
Mm.
We want that. But after sort of the acts that you've booked after they've performed, Catherine Ryan's going to come on,
Mm.
and Russell Kane and Joel Dommett and Milton Jones.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. And it's like, and like you'll like, introduce them on and everything. And I was just like, what? Like, and I remember the first, and it proved to be a massive success. We overfilled that tent.
Mm.
And there's a picture. It was my profile picture for a long time.
Mm.
Somebody caught the moment I got 3,500 people to laugh.
It's awesome.
And I went out there with so much fear, so much like, oh my God, this is like
What ifs? Mm.
yeah, yeah, like I such imposter syndrome. I didn't feel I'm anywhere near qualified to speak to this many people, let alone entertain them. And I started with my strongest jokes. I thought that's the only thing. If they don't laugh at this, I'm fucked. But if I can get them laughing, then maybe not everything has to be the best joke ever written.
Mm.
So I went out there and I did this joke. Because when there's that many people, you can't do crowd work. Like you can't. What do you do? That no one else can see who you're pointing at or talking to.
Yeah.
And yeah, someone got on camera the very moment the laugh came back, and I've got the biggest smile on my face. And since that was 2022, so 2023 again, it's 5,000 now,
Mm.
and we've had Russell Howard, Frankie Boyle, Al Murray, Dara O'Brien, Kelly
Mm.
Godleman. Not to name drop, but like these are the
Oh, imagine.
people I used to watch. I used to
Mm.
buy their DVDs, and now I'm speaking to them backstage as a peer.
Yeah. That's the
Like,
amazing. Yeah.
like, and Omid Jalali was on one year. He asked my opinion about one of his new jokes.
It's cool, dude. That is.
And I couldn't believe that because he saw me as just another comedian. Yeah, you're a comedian, I'm a comedian. Of course, I trust your opinion. Someone whose DVD I bought is trusting my opinion on their joke. And of course, it was amazing. It was funnier than anything I've ever written, right? And I was just like, yeah, it was brilliant. Which is like the most useless piece of feedback you can get from a comedian. Just, yeah, it's good.
God, imagine you gave him a different tag and it bombed.
Yeah, I know. Oh, can you imagine? He blamed me. But
Looks across
yeah,
the wing and sees your face. Just like,
yeah, yeah. He's like, I can't believe I trusted him. He's,
but in reverse, imagine if you did that and it absolutely killed.
that would make my life. If a comedian I look up to like that took something I said and it smashed, I'd be like, with permission, of course,
Oh,
not
cool,
like
yeah.
stealing my jokes, but
Yeah, just
like,
do a lap on stage. Like, hey. Are you
yeah,
still doing the festival still today?
yeah, yeah. This year we can't do it because the council are the
Dickheads.
field it takes place. The council are doing work on there,
Oh,
and
bastards.
something had to go, and it was us. But yeah, last year we had. Yeah, last year the three headliners were Russell Howard on the Friday, Frankie Boyle on the Saturday, and Al Murray on the Sunday.
I mean, yeah,
Um,
three killers of the game.
that's it, and you, it's very surreal
Mm.
hanging out with them
Yeah.
before the show. So very quick story. My girlfriend, I brought her to the festival. We're backstage. Now she grew up in India before moving here like 2 years ago. She has no concept of who these people are.
Mm.
She doesn't know who they are. They're not famous to her. She was taking a nap in the green room, and Russell Howard arrived like 5 hours early for the gig, and he was very scared of waking her up. So he just sort of sat, and she's taking up the only sofa in the green room because she's asleep on it, trying to take a nap. And he's like huddled on this like bar stool with his bag, sort of holding, like trying to be very, very still. Uh, and I, first thing he said is like, "Is she okay?" Because it's a festival. Like, is she like passed out or like is she
Is she in
taking
a K hole
something?
right now?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And I was like, I'm so sorry. She's just having a nap. But I'm more scared of her than you right now, so she can sleep. And then I'm doing a sound check before Russell before we start the portion where Russell comes on at the end, and she's come storming up to me. He goes, "Who is that loud man in the in the tent?" And I was like, "Who?" And he goes, "He is blonde and he's going through his bag, and I think he just has 26 packets of crisps because that's what it sounds like in his bag." And I was like, "Do you mean Russell Howard?" And he was like, "He's Russell something. All I can hear is him rustling in his bag." I was like, he's the big draw here. Like if he wants to go through his bag in the green room for his show, he can. And then she saw how many people showed up for him, and she was like, "Oh, okay." And then she apologized to him for being rude because she like got shitty with him in the green room, thinking it's just someone who works at the festival.
I mean, the one thing I do love, like, especially when it comes to like the top level comedians, I love seeing and interacting with them on a human level
Mm.
because they're just normal people. The
I
media glamorize them, and obviously, justly so. Some of them are fantastic,
yeah,
and it's just them as normal, just they're nice, normal people. And when you see them on stage, you always think they're going to be giants. Even if they're like 5'8", you think, "Oh my god, they're going to stand meters above me."
yeah,
No, they're just normal people.
they are, and most of them are my experience. I'm sure there are divas out there, but most of them are so down to earth, and they still get nervous. They still doubt themselves a little bit. And it's like you have like five Netflix specials.
Yeah,
Like how are you doubting?
your capabilities.
Yeah, like you're a millionaire from being funny. Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Um, but it is interesting to see. Like people are like it doesn't go away.
No.
Just
No.
because you've quote unquote made it, it
Would
doesn't
you
go
want it?
away.
Would you want it to go away?
No,
You
because I
still
do.
want them butterflies every time, like
Yes, because it means you still care. You still care how this goes. You're
yeah,
not
you want
just
to put on a good
phoning it
set.
in.
No,
Yeah.
I completely agree. And that's an amazing story. But I need to bring you back to earth now a little bit. You know that.
Yeah, yeah, with the
What time
bombing.
did you suck ass the most?
Definitely, unfortunately, so many, so many times do
This
come
week.
to mind. Uh, no, I think one of the worst, yeah, but one of the worst, I was performing in, so when you don't perform in London, you have to just sort of gig where the gig is.
Mm,
You can't be too choosy.
100%.
And I was performing in a caravan park.
Good.
And it was awful. I've got two examples. One's the Caravan Park, and I'll tell you the other one because it's also
Please.
just as funny. The Caravan Park, at that time, it was the most people I'd ever performed to. I was maybe 6 months in, which I know in London could be, oh, so you, what, 100 gigs?
Mm.
No, like seven.
Right.
Like, we didn't have that. 6 months is not a long time on the Portsmouth comedy scene. You're not going to get a lot of gigs under your belt. And they wanted to have a comedy night, and they asked the person who ran the gig that I did my first one at, because he was like the go-to guy. And so we all went up there in like two cars, like six comedians, and they put me on in the middle. And what made it worse is that everyone else had done pretty well up to that point.
Mm.
And what had happened, I got up there, and yeah, they did not like anything I had to say. I couldn't even get them to smile, like to even acknowledge a joke had been told. You would have thought I was going up there and just reading the dictionary. Like that's how bored everybody looked. And I was just like, oh no, 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 no. And no matter what I did, I couldn't, I don't think I got a single laugh. I think there were about 100, people there, and I couldn't even get a from no one. And I was looking at the comedian for help. Like this had never happened to me like this badly. This is my first experience in bombing so fucking hard that I'm ruining everyone's night. And I'm sort of looking for help, and the comedian's like, I don't know what I'm expecting from him,
Yeah.
but
Did you
just
do
look.
anything different, or was it just sometimes you just have them moments, and everyone has them?
I think what had happened is so I was doing 10 minutes, and I think the first 2 minutes didn't go very well, and I think I did not hide that like that's what I was feeling. I
Oh,
think
okay, yeah.
I was coming across as being panicky. I was coming across as being like, oh no, oh no, and it got worse the more because I wasn't experienced enough to be able to hide it or to have a plan B. Again, 7, 8 gigs in, I just about had 10 minutes of speaking, let alone if it's funny or not. That's regardless. I could just fill 10 minutes of time. And so I didn't have backup material. I didn't have anything I could switch to in case it went wrong. It was this or I stopped talking. That's 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 all we've got to run on. But a more recent one, and I hadn't bombed this bad in a while, which is a great thing to be able to say. And I'm not saying everything I say is gold, but it usually gets something, somewhere.
Yeah.
But this was just, oh, it was a nightmare. So it was in Egypt, in Sharm el Sheikh.
Brilliant.
So everyone I'm performing to are expats from the UK, Ireland, wherever. And they've all lived there for about 20 years, which means they have no idea what's been happening in the UK for the last
Yeah, they got
20
no, yeah,
years.
like relevance to your stories.
Yeah, so they have no context. Like I'm talking about Gogglebox, they don't know what that is. I'm talking about, and these are all like in their 80s, right? So I can't bring up YouTube, I can't bring up
Mm.
any apps, any technology, any TV shows, any films, because they just watch Only Fools and Horses on repeat,
Yeah.
Faulty Towers on repeat.
It's
And
two good
I'm
shows. I'll give them that credit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They
But they're not shows
were Mrs. Brown boys.
I've got material on, probably. Um, but yeah, so in Sharm el Sheikh, if you live there, you can't get BBC um, unless you've got a VP. And I don't think they would understand the technology required to
For
get round
VPNs.
it to get iPlayer on your TV.
Yeah.
So they just didn't have a clue what I was talking about for half an hour. And I was like, right, I'm gonna have to. And I didn't realize how much of my material is not pop culture based, but you need to understand a bit about what's happened in the UK in the last 20 years
Yeah.
to get it.
Yeah, I mean, some bits that aren't, universally adapted,
No,
which is fine. Uh, yeah, that's why some, like I say, some comedians, like say, like um, my friend from India, when he brought his stuff over, it didn't transfer as well because
no,
it wasn't relatable to them.
no. And I also found that out. I did the opposite of what your friend did. I did a gig in New Delhi, and it was first it was not advertised as an English speaking comedy night.
Yeah.
So there were people in the crowd who didn't speak English, and I was over introduced on stage.
I hate that. My last podcast, I spoke about that. Something they do in Australia and America, they'll really hype up the comedian before.
Yeah.
This is the funniest thing you're ever going to see. If you don't laugh, you're the problem. And then they'll sit back and say, well, make me laugh then.
That's it. So the MC who's doing a fantastic job in both, she was performing in both Hindi and English. Um,
Yeah.
and she was like, okay, ladies and gentlemen, our headline next, all the way from the United Kingdom, home of The Office, home of, I just started listing, home of Mr. Bean, and all this. I was like, okay, but none of those are to do with me. You're making it sound like I was like a writer on it, or they're expecting Rowan Atkinson to walk out, because again, not everyone's level of English is different, but
Yeah.
they're hearing Mr. Bean. That's
Yeah.
a oh no, oh my God, Mr. Bean's here, and then I came out
Also,
like
Mr. Bean, where no words are spoken.
Mr. Bean. Right, I'm lucky enough to um, gig in a lot of countries abroad, and I always ask people like in your country, what is the UK known for? Mr. Bean 100% of the time.
Yeah, because they don't need to speak English to enjoy it.
No, no. So it's the most popular show
Yeah,
in a lot of countries. I mean, genocide is the second thing mentioned
brilliant.
mostly, but Mr. Bean number one.
Okay, so Rowan Atkinson beats genocide is the headline, basically.
Yeah, or at least is more popular.
I love that. Okay, I'll end it with this one. From a man of experience, if you were to give advice to somebody who's never done stand up before, they've never got on the stage, they enjoy comedy, but are a little bit nervous, what advice would you give them? And you can't
Do it.
say just do it.
No, no, no. As I say, hold on. I would say you're not going to know how much you want to do it until you do it. So, as much as just do it is a bit of a cop out, doing comedy was the best decision I ever made with my life. And I want that for other people. And you're not going to find, and here's my theory. You will either do comedy once and never again, or you'll do it for the rest of your life. And you need to find out what camp you're in. Because it's not for everyone. It's most people's worst fears. Like public speaking alone is frightening enough, let alone here's some ideas I've had. I hope this room full of strangers who don't know me, who owe me nothing, are gonna laugh about it. Like, and again, laughter is not, you can't fake laughing. You could do a fake laugh, but you can't pretend to actually laugh.
Yeah. Comes from somewhere where you're not expecting it. You almost subconsciously laugh.
Yeah. So it's a responsive thing. It would be like trying to make the whole room sneeze at once,
Yeah. Yeah.
like that.
Thank you.
It's that level of getting them to do something involuntary.
Hmm.
Now, when people go see Michael McIntyre or whoever, they're fans. They already know what this person's about. They
Yeah.
already know the backstories and they've maybe seen previous specials. So there is that built-in sort of admiration and oh, I like this guy. At the
It so
very
becomes
least,
easier because you're playing
yeah,
to your people.
yes. Whereas when we go up, no, they ain't got a clue who we are.
Yeah,
what we're about, where we're from, what our story is, and we have to basically get all of that out in a matter of minutes
yeah.
and get everyone on board. So my advice, other than just do it, let's assume you've done it. You've done your first gig. Now you want to move
Mention
on and do
giraffes on
more.
stage.
Yes, exactly. Um, no, I would think don't try to be like any comedian you've seen before.
Hey, cool.
Be-
Yeah, I like that.
because a lot of the times, and it's very natural, if you spend a lot of time watching comedy on Netflix or DVDs or however you consume it, it's only natural that you go on stage and you maybe try to emulate certain characteristics of other comedians because they're your only point of reference.
Yeah.
So be yourself, tell jokes that you think are funny. Write for you, don't write for an audience you
Love
don't
that.
have.
Like 100 agree with that. And so many people say, yeah, you got a right to make people laugh. And whilst you want your jokes to be funny, it's got to be you.
Yeah, yeah, and so if you're like, oh, I'm performing to students, I've got a student gig, so let me
Yeah.
just write 10 student jokes. If if it's something you believe is funny, that will come across in your performance. Whereas if you're telling jokes that you've almost catered for this one gig, you're not going to perform at the level of enthusiasm and the level of sort of excitement
We'll
that you
challenge
would.
that. I will challenge that one, actually.
Mm,
You got to write your funny, but I think you can write a couple of jokes tailored to the room. Because I'll give you an example. I've got a
yeah.
25-minute close week Wednesday, and it's in front of 300 police officers who've been injured on the line of duty.
Hmm.
I am going to do a couple of police jokes at
Oh,
the beginning
absolutely.
and then
I
go into my greatest hits.
No, no, no. As I say, I'm not saying don't write material for a specific crowd, but I'm saying you would still need to believe in the material that you're doing.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I agree with that. You can write jokes for the room, but they've still got to be you.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
That
I'm not going to
that
go and do like a not police joke or
no,
like
no,
police deadpan. Like that ain't me.
no. Exactly. So you will find your style, whatever it happens to be, and it may change. There's nothing to say that you will do one style of comedy for a year and then think, oh, I'm a bit too rigid on stage, or I'm a bit too scared to move away from a script. And then
Try
the more,
impressions.
yeah, exactly. It's like sometimes you just got to give it a go,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. Try everything once.
Yeah. And I said, the amount of time, the arrogance of which I've walked into a room with a new joke that I've written that day, and I'm like, this is fucking gold. And then I get up there and it's the worst joke anyone's ever heard. And I'm like, oh, okay. Clearly I'm not as, I've got my finger on the pulse of society as I thought I did in
Yeah.
terms of what's funny. But yeah, yeah, be yourself because and again, it's the cliche, don't be the next someone else, be the first you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Don't try and be the next Michael McIntyre. Be the first one of you. Because otherwise you can't keep it up.
You can't compete. And I think first place and second place, there is a big difference to who did it first.
Mm,
And
I completely agree.
completely agree. Right, dude, this has been absolutely brilliant. Thank you ever so much for coming on the pod.
No worries,
And I
mate.
thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for having me on. Taking time
Uh,
out your Sunday.
it's been you too, man. Cheers, guys. And thank you ever so much for watching, guys. Bye.
Cheers.